Okay, so in this video, I'm going to explain what the $1 million plus online coaches have in common, the hidden system behind 100K to a million a month. It's not better content, it's not better offers, it's infrastructure. I'm going to explain what that is. So it goes down into traffic, appointment setters, and sales team. I'm going to explain very simply. It's going to be a very simple video. If you want more detailed videos, then look at my other videos, but I'm going to explain very simply in this one, okay? So content creates attention, setters create revenue. Most coaches have a conversion problem, not a traffic problem. Every day, content generates likes, comments, story views, DM inquiries, and most businesses do absolutely nothing with it. What a trained setter does, they message every single interested prospect, starts and nurtures conversations every single day. They don't rely heavily on ManyChat. They build rapport and identifies the problems with the prospect. They qualify the prospect on key criteria to see if they fit the program, and they book qualified leads onto sales calls. So the core principle really, attention alone doesn't create revenue. The top coaching businesses treat every engagement as a lead. Conversations do the converting, not the content. So you'll get a lot of people who tend to post a lot of content. They get a lot of likes, a lot of comments, and you can comment on their stuff and you never get a response. You might get a mini chat, but it doesn't really go further than that. The highest earning coaches in the space are people who have appointment setters who are actually converting that attention into uh, sales calls. But but it's not just about the setters, it's about the infrastructure. So the appointment setting machine would be something like this. So this is how the system actually works from first scroll to signed client. So you would attract with the content that is targeted towards your desired audience. You would engage with them. So you'd have an appointment setter who is trained, who is vetted, who's a top 1% setter. And then they would open up the chat, okay? And then they would open up a chat with them, have a chat with them, see if they qualify, which is the next thing, and then book them into a call. Okay? So the result is a predictable flow of qualified appointments entering the calendar every single day without the coach lifting a finger. So the coach basically doesn't have to do anything. The coach can sit there every day, focus on content, focus on, coaching, and then their machine can run in the background. Okay, so what elite coaches build that others don't? Most coaches think hiring a setter solves the problem. It doesn't. It's the setter. The setter is one component. The system is what creates consistency. Most coaches think hiring a setter solves the problem, as I said. So, first part is the conversation framework. So, an A to Z script and qualifier flows that every setter follows. There needs to be scripts in place and principles in place and rules in place for the setter to follow. Okay. The next thing is poor performance systems. So you need to have daily KPIs, reporting dashboards, and performance reviews to make sure the setter is doing a good job and they're keeping up with their targets every single day. The next is training and management. So you need to make sure onboarding pipelines, coaching, cadences, and management structure. So you need to make sure that every single setter that comes on board is being trained effectively and being trained weekly. Me at my business, Apex Setting, we train the setters every single week. Even if they are top 1% setters, we still continue to train them and make sure they are performing at the best possible way. And the next thing is security and hiring. So we need to make sure they can access the Instagram of the coach securely without giving any passwords or anything like that. Okay? So, without a system, performance drops, calls become inconsistent, setters quit, and revenue becomes unpredictable. So, even when you have a top setter, if you don't have this system in place, then you're not going to book as many calls as you could. So, here's why the best coaches have multiple setters. So, one setter is a start, okay? A team is a growth engine. As audience size grows, a single setter becomes overwhelmed and leads slip through the cracks. So one setter is very good for early growth stage. You can make tens of thousands extra just from having one setter who fills out your calendar. And then when you get two setters, you're going to be able to grow even further. You may even grow to 100K a month or more. Three setters is where you get really high volume. You're definitely going to be using like ManyChat, for example, at this stage, or maybe even earlier, but you're going to be really depending on these setters to do a really fantastic job. So that's why you need to make sure that you don't just hire the first setter you see. You make sure you interview 100, 200, 300 setters and you find who is the best. And even when you find the top 1%, you still continue to train them. At scale, teams generate around 500 conversations weekly, which equals about 100 to 200 calls extra per month, all driven through Instagram DMs with faster response times, better follow-up, and zero leads slipping through the cracks. So you might not get 100 or 200 sales calls a month. If you're just getting started, you might start getting an extra 10, an extra 20, an extra 30. But if you can get one more than you're getting now, it basically pays off. Because if you can get one more, which if you can get one, then you can basically get three. If you can get three, you can get five. If you can get five, you can easily do 10 and more. Okay, so you need to make sure you focus on having this system in place, making sure it's built out, from making sure you're hiring the correct people, to training them, and to keeping them managed. Because at my business, we do everything. We source the setters. Let me show you. So this is my business, Apex Setting. These are some of the clients. We source the setters. We interview hundreds and thousands of setters. We talk with all of them. We filter through the 100 setters and we find the top 3 or the top 4. Once we've interviewed them, then we hire them, and then you train them. We give them initial training to your business. And then once we've trained them on your business, we then allow them to access the Instagram of yours with ease and with safety without giving any passwords or anything up. We do it the very safe way. And then we test them and see how good they are. If they perform well, we continue to test them and continue to improve them. If they don't, then we basically get rid of them and we have another setter ready to join. So if you want help getting your first setter or building that system or understanding how to build your own system, if you want us to do it for you, if you want to be trained on how to do it, my prices are premium prices because this is big demand and there's a lot of work that goes into this system. It's around $50,000 USD if you want to be trained or you want a team training. A little bit lower depending on how big your team is. If it's done for you, it's more affordable than that. But if you want to scale, if you want to take things to the next level and you have content going out and enough leads, you need to make sure you have this system built, because this is going to be the system that allows you to scale, to triple, quadruple your income, because you're picking up every single possible lead that there is that shows interest in your page and in your posts and in your stories and in your DMs. You clean up all of them and you turn all of those leads into potential clients, and you sieve out the ones that are disqualified and you book in all the ones who are qualified. Okay, so if you want help with doing that, then click the link and talk to you soon. Bye.